We have a special guest in studio joining us today from Epic Companies, President Todd Berning. Well, good morning, and thank you for being on the
Thanks for joining us, Todd.
Good morning, gang.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to have you here. So, where do you want to start? There's been some things lately.
Yeah, I was going to say, in case you weren't aware, you've been in the news a little bit.
Parking lots, right? Charity, too close, whatever you want to call it.
So, Todd, where do you want to start?
We could start with parking if you want to.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
All right, let's start with parking.
So, who's going to start?
Go ahead. What's going on with the parking?
Well, yeah, so it's kind of funny, you build a 400 stall parking ramp out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not enough. It is enough actually, and so we have really what it is the city owns the parking ramp, and our valuation of TIF dollars when I say it's Epic and Eagle Ridges. Eagle Ridge is on the north side of the road, and we're on the south side of the road there.
So you guys kind of share that parking lot?
We share the parking ramp,
okay.
Yeah. And we have a development agreement that's between ourselves, Eagle Ridge, and the city. In the agreement is Eagle Ridge has 104 spots reserved 24/7. And they pay $25,000 a year to the ramp. And we don't have any reserved, zero. And we pay $150,000 a year to the city for the ramp. And, Jim Bullis, who was one of the main guys of Eagle Ridge, he likes, to have his spots reserved. And so in a mixed use development, that doesn't work very well. Because the whole idea of mixed use is to turnover spots. And so, probably 70 or 80 of those spots during the weekdays sit empty because they're reserved. Mm-hmm. And so they're not getting used. And, we have some underground parking, not nearly enough to take care of our apartments. And he's got some indoor parking, which isn't enough to take care of his units. And our philosophies are a little different. And we went into the agreement saying, if everybody uses parking that's out there and available, other than 2 or 3 peaks a year, you'll be fine. And we're full, and we're raising the rates, and it's on Jay Thomas, and some people are upset about it, and maybe we're raising some too fast. But it's a different subject. But we're full, and Eagle Ridge is. I don't know if I don't think they're full, but they're close to full. Mm-hmm. But their model's different. They want those spots 24/7, and so we really don't get into the mix of it, for lack of a better term. We had to protect some handicap spots for Essentia. They have a full blown clinic on the second floor, so we asked the city to do that, and they did. They shifted some so that handicapped older folks could use that. But we just believe in taking the whole pool of parking and everybody using it. And so does the school district. They're very flexible about that parking lot across the street. And that's the whole entertainment district is to share and use. And, so that's our philosophy. And Jim really, has a issue with the city more than he does Epic, I think. I don't know for sure. So that's kind of where the parking's at. And I'm on the West Fargo Events Board. We actually had a board meeting yesterday, or one Wednesday a month we do. And he's not on the board, but, he's got John Hansen on the board, who's a board member of the REIT, of Eagle Ridge REIT as well. So he has representation on the board. And we talked about the parking and things like that. So West Fargo Events manages the ramp for the city. But at the end of the day, Berning calls the shots.
And that's one thing, too, like people will get confused about, because when we talk about West Fargo Events, now that's a different entity than Epic.
Yep.
However, they'll have events at the lights.
Epic? Yeah, Epic Events has an entity. Epic Events is an entity of Epic.
Right.
And I'll say we, as Epic Events, we will rent the space from West Fargo Events or the city, for like Sawyer Brown. And so my theory, when I put the whole thing together, is charities should not go at risk. And any time you sign a contract with a Sawyer Brown, you're at risk. Tomorrow night for Chris Lane, we won't make money on that. It's part of the blend of the package.
Yeah.
And I've never believed in a big at-risk things for charities. And that goes back to my state fair days with the Fair Foundation and everything there. And so we created Epic Events to do that, because those type of events, while there's 6 or 7 a year, they create a lot of volume. And so the volume for advertisers, the volume for a radio station. I mean, people like that kind of stuff to get some value for their advertising at the plazas.
Yeah.
And so that's, we want to get in the black on those 5 or 6 concerts a season. But it's more about creating that value of this place is cool.
Yeah.
And so I want to advertise here. I want to live here. I want to be here. And so that's kind of our risk reward that West Fargo Events gets to piggyback on, and Sawyer Brown, there's $100,000 of beer sales that went through. That's West Fargo Events beer sales. They have the liquor license there. And so we create some good value for their Bud Light sponsorship. Bud Light sponsorship would be a lot less if we didn't have those concerts, because their volume would be a lot less. Mm-hmm. So it's working together. And, I grew up in the Coke business, and really I got Pepsi people that are big investors of ours now, and that's because you play in the sandbox well together. But you get shot at when you're at the top. And I think there's a little bit of that going on right now. And we've taken our lumps, but, I guess I just kind of, let's work through it and talk about it. And there's been very little communication in my camp. I've asked Hap, I've asked, everybody, let's always talk about it. I think the sitting around a table at a cafe in rural North Dakota is what builds communities, and sometimes in these big cities there's not enough of that. Mm-hmm. Bigger communities, not big city, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Todd, let's talk about the charity for just a second. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people just really want to know, like we talk about the Epic Charities, but what is that money that's fundraised? What is it being used for? So,
so you take West Fargo Events, pull the 990. It's public record. It's filed with the IRS. A huge amount of that is put into maintaining the plaza, public programming, like the Footloose and whatever. I think next year we're going to have Grease,
arts, the plays that have been out there.
Yeah, arts and plays, community theater, and and Mike Amundsen last night, he said, We had a really good run with Footloose, lost a little bit of money on it, but it's good community programming, and so the gaming, supplements that, and that's budgeted in. He goes, and so
family ice skating in the winter,
yeah, absolutely.
Things like that.
It costs lots to do that rink, but we have 30,000 kids that go through that ice rink, and that's not counting the rentals. That's public skating. And so all that stuff, and it's right. There's no money going into Todd Berning's pockets or anybody else's private pockets. It's the other way around. Private money's going into there. People donate. We get we're growing as West Fargo Events in grants and things like that because of our programming. And we're getting more companies, the Cass County Electrics of the world, that are just doing more and more things because they're seeing the impact this is having on kids and families and underprivileged. I tried to call Mike Monday night, talk about something, on the board packet, and he said, I'm on the grill cooking right now. We have movie night, and we have over 400 people here, and we're getting our butt kicked. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about.
It is, yeah.
And so people lose track of that, and hopefully the city and Jim Bullis will get the parking thing worked out. That is what it is.
Have you guys sat together and visited and tried to come with a solution?
Yeah, because you're
a resolution.
You're aware of the letter that Jim wrote, obviously, to the
Epic's
editor.
Too close.
You've seen it. Do you think the discussions in regards to parking prior to that maybe prompted that? Because he was no uncertain terms in that letter saying, I wasn't really ever a part of this charitable all this. I mean, he was saying a lot of things that kind of countered.
Yeah, it's I mean, his signatures are on the documents.
Yeah.
And we're all responsible for that portion of what we do. And he helped create a lot of things and on legal documents and things. And And John Hansen, who's a great board member, he's been on the board for 4 years or so. I don't know, 3-4 years. And, so we have the avenue to communicate. And actually, that really is what West Fargo Events is designed to do, is communicate between the school district, the park district, and the city and the community. And that's why we have 3 people at large on the board as well. And that's the way we set it up. But when you look at it from a return, the city pays the West Fargo Events approximately $400,000 a year to manage those 2 assets, the parking ramp and the plaza. But in turn, West Fargo Events spends over $1 million on public programming. That's a pretty good return. A park district would struggle with that. A city would do that, and that's and West Fargo Events has taken over. There's literally no position. There's not an event position at the city of West Fargo anymore, because West Fargo Events does that. They run Westfest, they run the parades, they run all that stuff, and then the school district pays, I don't know what it is. It's $100 and some thousand or whatever. But I'll never forget Mark Lemur saying, "You know what? If the rink only loses like $150,000 or so, we'd be happier than heck, because anything with water, whether it's liquid or frozen, it costs money, a lot of money, and it's damn near at a break even right now. We just got an update of that last night, and that 2-rink facility is crushing it. It's doing really, really well. So there's lots of good return, and I wish people would step back and look at that instead of just firing off and then going to bed at night, because it hurts a lot of people.
Well, and I mean, I know you had talked about this early in the interview too. It almost seems, in a manner of speaking, like you're a victim of your own success, because it seems in which the world we live in now, everybody is looking for that gotcha big splash in the media moment where it's, look at this. We found 6 links down the chain. We found where this isn't right.
Oh, Ronnie, you're so right about that.
It's like, our state corporate forum, our gal that does 100 of those a year, she misfired on she didn't know West Fargo Events Board had changed. But our 990 is very accurate, because the accountant that audit us and review us, they know that. They go through all of our minutes and read it. And so there's no ill intent, and there's no money in pockets. No question. Charity on a state level is under scrutiny and should be. Mm-hmm. I sat with a guy that said, yeah, you can do our charity here at this bar, but we want you to use your funds to pay for advertising to youth baseball and things like that. And I'm like, nope, don't want to do that.
Right.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah, there are still rules that need to be. I mean, as much as you raise monies to benefit all these entities, there are rules that have to be followed.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And there's nothing wrong with that. And Drew Wrigley is everybody's the legislature's banking on him to get his arms around it. Not saying that it hasn't been, but there's just a lot going on with e-tabs and everything. There's lots of money changing hands, and so they're following the letter of the law, and we're fine with that. Mm-hmm. We have absolutely no problem with that.
Well, and I think you've said before too, at the end of the day, you are more than willing and extremely open and transparent for anybody who wants to email or call you and ask you any questions about what's happening, and you're more than willing to walk them through what their question is.
I have no problem with that at all. I absolutely I don't. And I respect differing opinions. I respect liberals and rights and lefts and ups and downs and people that have made it, people that are struggling. I get that. I employ all sorts of people, from our spicy pies and concessions to people that make a lot of money working for us at Epic because they're specialized. That's the way the world works, and they all have a fair say. And we balance a lot of that. We really do. And you bet. I would absolutely love that.
Todd, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can call our main phone line at Epic. You know what? I don't even know the number of that. 866-1006. But go to our website, epiccompaniesnd.com. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give out my cell number over the air. It would be crushed.
No, I don't blame you for not doing that.
But or just email me direct, and that's todd.berning, BERNING, @epiccompaniesnd.com. epic.com. But if you Google Epic West Fargo, you'll find me.
Right.
For sure. And I'm not dodging the bullet. The last time I was on a radio show, I had my number written here because I forget it sometimes. And you know how the world is. Everything's in your phone as a
Todd,
Epic office.
I know our phone number to the studio.
Sorry.
I do not know our phone number to downstairs.
The main office
I have
line,
no idea what our phone number is to the main office. I don't even know if I have it in my phone.
Oh boy, rookie mistake. Sorry.
I don't even know my husband's phone number without looking.
Well, that's just it. It's Epic Office. I guess I could pull up my cell phone and
yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Well, and I do appreciate the fact, too, like you just wrapping up, like you had said in another conversation, you know, the creation of West Fargo Events allows them at West Fargo Events, being a completely separate entity, to manage all of the different things like the ice rink and all those kind of things, because if you didn't have all of these different entities trying to work in concert with each other, it would be chaos at an epic scale. No pun intended, but you know.
Yeah, there's things. Absolutely right. It was a vision, and yeah, it's taken some turns and twists and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's very, very successful out there. You know, and Jim Bullis has talked about that on some other podcast things, and that the success is part of the problem that's causing some situations, but that doesn't mean we can't work together.
Right.
And you know, the biggest problem I think is just spots being reserved 24/7. But you know, I have my own things to work on and stuff, and I'm a part of that. I'm not disengaging that. But you're right that you breed more ideas. I mean, it's so cool. You know, every Wednesday morning at 9:00 we have our marketing team together, and our marketing team is people from our different divisions, from food and beverage to real estate and West Fargo Events. I mean, Britta's been coming to those meetings since day one. She's our oldest employee at West Fargo Events. And it's about communication.
Yeah.
It really is. At the end of the day, success is driven by communication. And right now, we're not having real good community success on the parking ramp. And guess what? We don't have communication.
You're lacking that communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully there's a resolution.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too.
You know, life's short, and let's keep rolling. You know, we had people from Blaine, Minnesota, and Tommy Kramer. I don't know how he plugged into it, the old football guy.
I saw that.
It's like, what the hell?
My childhood hero. I'm looking at a picture of the concerts, and I'm like, that's Tommy Kramer.
There's Tommy Kramer. I think there's a picture of Jay and them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they want a lights in Blaine. And here's me. Yo, Todd, you're saying that in your competitors. I don't care. There's plenty of work for everybody to do.
Yeah.
There really is. But there are a lot of communities that would love to see a lights happen. And you know, we're very open book to even talking about that. It's like making a good pizza. You can give them the recipe, but good luck making it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not worried about it. There's plenty. We turn down work all the time.
Well, Todd, again, I just want to say on behalf of Janae and I, thank you for being willing to, because I know it sucks to, you know, sometimes take barbs and stuff like this, but you've been open and transparent about all this.
And willing to talk to anybody.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and that's great.
No, I appreciate you having me. And if you ever have any questions on anything, I'm not nearly as eye-appealing as Mackenzie, but I'll give you the facts.
I love that girl.
There you go.
She's good stuff. Yep.
She is. She really is.